mind. But those individuals that do hang, y'all be like, damn, that man, he didn't slid us some big boy numbers. Like Zim, we're gonna be talking about Zim coming soon. Zim is supposed to be putting out JKS put out more, but JKS is an annual. So you got JKS, Steven got JKS, and this is the last time JKS is going to be grabbed this year. JKS ain't going to be grabbed again until sometime next year. And it's not even on the same month every year. So we got to watch it for the next 12 months to see which month it's going to pop up. It might pop up in 6 months. It might pop up in 12 months. Yeah. It might pop up for 14 months. Instead of them doing it at the beginning, they might do it towards the end. But at some point in 2026, JKS is going to be ready to rock. And I'm going to know 30 days ahead of time. And I'm going to be like, hey, buy in the JKS. So you got to have that mega money. The money I get putting it towards the mega fit. The mega fit, the mega citizenship. I got to figure out what we're going to be discussing on Monday, because somebody had told me something about how Donald Trump had some family members that was being deported. And I think that was some fake news, because when I went to look into it, I did not see nothing about Donald Trump having any family members that did not qualify for citizenship. So, you know, I don't want to cover a bullshit topic. I like to cover the real topics. So today we're going to be talking about merging incomes in your relationships, because I know that we do talk about relationships. It's been a while since I've covered something deep in relationships, because there's a lot of different angles that you can come from relationships, but all of them revolve around the lack of communication that exists, which is why your relationship is chaotic, and the encouragement for you to communicate in your relationships. If you do that, the only other things that you can do is strategize how you make, save, and invest money in the relationship as a family. So I've given you guys advice on how to leverage your children for tax deductions, how to redirect your communication with your children so that the benefits that they get from allowances from you comes from benefits from them, where they're performing tasks that benefit you and takes time off of your plate, as well as being a tax write-off. You know, I've given you guys information about donating into public schools, because public schools are tax deductible, and it's the same money that you would have been thrown into a private school. If you throw it into a public school, you'll find yourself with larger tax deductions. So instead of dumping money into the education, you get deductions for the education, you know, things to that effect. So there's a lot of things that we talk about, including trusts, bonds, REITs, international spending, international investing, offshore bank accounts. I strongly encourage offshore bank accounts. I strongly encourage offshore real estate investment trusts or personal trusts. I strongly encourage you to do it in a country that has no taxation with a non-residential trust, because those are ways where your money is more protected. Because while you could probably break open a couple of trusts in America, if you get your trust from overseas, which that is a business trip, if you're flying out under your LLC, doing a business trip, going to a different country, you set up a business trust or a personal trust or some type of trust out there that prevents your assets from being allocated in litigation. You can keep your assets safe. So safer, especially, and I just experienced this recently, because again, Michael will tell you, we own nothing. So there's nothing in our name, but we control everything. And somebody was trying to do a deep search, and I was sitting in the room with the deep search, and they're like, bro, I can't find him. The other person in the room was like, you ain't got to look for him no more. He right here. He's sitting right here. Like, they're looking for me while I was sitting in the room. And I was like, yo, that's dope. Talk about off the grid. Technology can't find your boy, and your boy sitting right here. Like, so I thought that was fantastic. But that is another thing that helps, because everything that happens is public record. So if you pick up a property, your name is on the property. If you pick up a vehicle, your name is on the vehicle. You know, where your vehicle is registered to, that paper trail. I put the vehicles to the post office box. I register the vehicles to the business and then get commercial insurance. Try to get commercial insurance through Allstate. It's cheaper that way. But if you can find another commercial insurance, you knock that out. Either way, you've got the vehicle in the business name, and you don't got to worry about it. You know, you could have a vehicle in the business name and then get commercial insurance, especially if you have your name on there somewhere. Then as a co-owner, then you can do that as well. But you know, I would prefer to just shift everything over to where I don't know squat and then just ride out on it, because I can use it as an employee of the company that I work for, which is why I tell you guys to establish LLCs and C corporations. Michael said her account, my account, our joint account, and joint home account as well. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and get that conversation started. We don't have as much information as we had yesterday, so we should be, by the time y'all get exhausted, we should be out of here. Bro, marriage, relationships, dating is all about money. I rolled out the scroll, and like girls were telling me, they were coming onto the show and they were telling me that I was like misogynistic and all this other shit because I rolled out the scroll. And I'm like, bro, if you really think about it, it does not benefit men to date, because not because we broke, it's because look at what we got to do to acquire the lifelong relationship. You got to bribe the girl from first encounter to go out on a date with you so that you can spend a bunch of money on the date to impress her, so that she will want to go on another date where you're going to spend a bunch more money on her to impress her. And you're going to keep doing this until she commits to the effort. Then you're dating. Once she commits to the effort, now you're giving her an allowance or renting the girl. I call it renting the girl. People say that's disrespectful. Oh, but this is what it is. As long as you're providing her with the capital, she's going to stay there, because that is the attitude of some of, not all of, some of the women that are coming through, right? And then after that, you end up in the marriage where these days it is not the parents paying for the children's wedding, or, you know, gifts from the family that covers the cost of the wedding. The husband pays for the wedding. So since the husband's paying for the husband's paying for the engagement, the husband's paying for the engagement ring. So in modern 2025, you're usually, some of these unrealistic individuals are expecting $5,000 and $10,000 wedding rings, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 weddings or more, a whole year's income, 2 years income on 1 day event, sometimes 3-day event if they can make it out that way, plus the honeymoon. And then after that, you're married, where now your wife is part of your dependents, and you're taking care of the wife and potentially the kids for the rest of your life. And if y'all don't get divorced, where she takes half of, if not 2/3 of all of your money, if you include child support and alimony, from the divorce, you die, and she gets to keep whatever's left behind when you die. So from I think you're cute to I now pronounce him dead, you are spending the rest of your life giving this woman everything you have. And I'm like, wait, all she's got to do is look cute, and in some situations put out, and there is no other requirement. And I said, that is the worst arrangement ever. But marriage is a financial institution. I know people say, oh, well, we're getting married under the eyes of the Lord. But after you finish getting married under the eyes of the Lord, you go and fill out that marriage certificate and turn it into your local government so that you can get the joint tax deductions from being married. Then when you get divorced, which marriage is actually a merger of two single businesses, the business of me and the business of her. That's a merger, and now it's a business of us. And then when the business dissolves itself, liquidates its assets, we have a separation of estate, where now we're starting to become two separate businesses. Just like I can't think of the phone companies when they went under, because they went under. But that's how it is. 15 diamond ring, or $1 diamond ring from Temu. That's what you really need to be doing. Back in the day, we used to have a bubblegum machine where you used to put like a quarter into the bubblegum machine and get your little ring pop thing. That's what we should be doing. We should be ring popping it out, but that's not what we're doing. So, you know, the thing is that I'd be telling people that in your dating phase, if you have a solid foundation where you guys are living together, y'all haven't started talking about marriage yet, but y'all are pooling y'all money together and y'all are talking about making something out of this. I've given you guys different strategies throughout the year as to how you guys could build a trust. Y'all could put the extra money into the trust. The money y'all not wasting on each other, y'all could put it into the trust, and then make yourselves beneficiaries of that trust, and then turn it into an irrevocable trust. When you guys break up, nobody can change this trust. the money comes to y'all guaranteed. And then if you get into another relationship with somebody else, you set up another trust. If you realize that if you have a trust for each relationship you get into, you will find yourself in a situation where you're still getting residual income from each relationship that you was in. And then 10 years, 20 years down the line of bad relationships, you should have 5 or 10 trusts out there that are generating something, $1,000 a year, $10,000 a year, something. And if you're taking all that money from those trusts and adding it to the new trust, to the new relationships trust, and then you're going to have a beneficiary, be the beneficiary of that, you know, you could actually have those trusts set up, like I told you guys before, where the trust is a beneficiary of the life insurance of your ex. And then when your ex pass, the money will go to the trust. And then the trust you still the only beneficiary of that trust. So then you go from being a percentage of whatever's there to all of it. You get a phone call in the mail like, hey, you know, your ex just passed. And that's like winning the lottery. If you really act right with treating these relationships like business transactions, people say don't do it like that, but that's really what it is. These relationships are like business transactions. So today, he said, me and Ma and Pa, Bell phone service, South Central Bell. So today we're going to get into this, and we're going to talk about the ins and outs of doing a merger with your finances. And I have told you guys, I've covered something similar to this before in the past, just a little bit different. And I have told you guys before that when you do pool your money, you don't have to put 100% of your money into the joint accounts. You can have your own discretionary money or your own personal savings and finance and everything off to the side, separate from the amount of money that's going into the relationship and the estate that is the relationship. Y'all can do that, you know, but the more you keep yourself separate when you're a joint scenario, the harder it is for you guys to navigate uniformity. Special shout out to Ken. He said your wife will always blow your paycheck. Ladies, I'm gonna be real with you. Y'all have a habit of buying more frivolous things than guys do. Guys buy stupid stuff. Not gonna lie. We buy more guns than we need to defend our homes. We buy cars that we don't drive. We soup up cars that we can't afford the traffic tickets on to race. We put stereo systems in cars and can't afford the noise pollution tickets for blowing the sound, loud exhaust. So we waste money in certain areas, video game consoles and stuff like that. We waste money in a lot of different areas. So it's not just women being wasteful. It's just that women are not tactful about their wastefulness. Like guys are like, all right, we're going to do it like this. We're going to cover this, cover this, cover that, cover the other, have a little bit on the side. We're going to go ahead and get that GTA 6. Ladies are like, whew, this is on sale. We're going to go get it because it's on sale. It doesn't necessarily mean that the money add up. So y'all got to think about it. Steven said, the more money on the check, the more items. Bro, look, I'm telling you, this guy, ladies, this is a podcast from the male's perspective. It's a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is how we experience life. So, you know, I understand, like and subscribe. Some of y'all ladies might thumbs down, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And you know, you got to accept that some people in the relationship for the financial benefit of it. Guys are less likely to be in a relationship for the financial benefit of it. Guys are usually in a relationship specifically for the relationship and sometimes the sex, but nowhere in there is the guy in a relationship for a financial benefit. Special shout out to McGraw. He says, I believe women definitely spend more often and on stupidest things, but men's is usually on more expensive. Okay, I can agree with that, because when a man spends expensive, it spends on things that are expensive. It's usually for her. He doesn't spend expensively on himself. A man usually goes the extra mile to get the expensive jewelry for the girl, especially if he cheated. You know, the bouquet of roses, the expensive dress, all of the hair and all of the stuff. So but you got to think about the logic behind spending in a relationship. Before we get started with today's topic of discussion, think about this. We've talked about this plenty of times before. When men get into a relationship, they spend 41% of their money on their woman. When a woman gets out of a relationship, she loses 23% of the standard of living that she had. There is a financial difference between the amount of money the man is paying for the woman, or paying because of the presence of the woman, versus the amount of money that the woman needs to survive. A woman needs to pay 23% more because she doesn't have that man paying for her, but a man has to pay 41% because the woman is there. Now, if you ask yourself, where is the other, 17% going, 18% going? That's on bullshit. She only had 21% of expenses, that 23% of expenses that you had to cover. And that means that the other 18% that you was putting on her, that's you wasting it on lavish gifts. You didn't need to do that, which that extra 20% could have went into the stocks and y'all could have made some money. Steven said 41%, hell nah, she better be supporting me too. But most females aren't doing that. You notice that, and we haven't even touched on today's topic, you notice that females will ask a man, she wants to support her career, right? And she asks a man, is he willing to support her career choice, her chasing her dreams, her bettering herself, right? But if you got a good man, that goes without saying. Most good men will put all their effort into supporting a woman, not just putting a roof over her head. Most good men, like if she's got a good business idea she's trying to do, he's trying to invest in that after he cover all the bills when she's got a good man. So for the woman to close-mindedly say, I want a man that is going to invest in my career, the question is, if you got a good man, are you investing in his career? When I ask that question, women are like, oh, you're going to use a woman, blah, blah, blah. But isn't that using a man, though? You're dating. The guy's going to take you out, he's got to take you to Steak and Lobster. If the guy's going to date you, he has to advance your career. But what are you doing to earn all of the resources that you're expecting from this man? And to this day, Victoria B is the only woman that's come to the show and ever said anything remotely positive about contributing towards a man. Michael said the mass of men live quiet lives of desperation. That is true. Men sacrifice financially way more. He said, well, no, that's when women get up and leave. Well, yeah, when women get up and leave, the 23% extra that women have to pay for their standard of living when they get up and leave is not because they're replacing all the stuff they left behind. The cost of living that she has is 23% higher than the quantity of income that she has, which is why she has to dip into her savings when she leaves. When a woman comes into a relationship, when a woman leaves, a man gains 41% of income, and that 41% of income is coming from what he was spending on her. It's not like he gets a promotion on his job because he leaves his girlfriend. It's the fact that he was spending that 41% on her, and because she left, he now has 41% extra money that he doesn't have to spend on a woman, which means that he has 41% extra money that he can put towards something else because he balanced the budget while putting that 41% on that woman. Steven said, yep, they don't do that. Start making more money. You're right. And that's why we're here. I'm telling you guys ways that y'all can make money for you, which is ways that the ladies and the men alike can build up their own individual wealth. I've given you guys platforms on how y'all could come together. And if y'all are living a $50,000 a year lifestyle and y'all pull y'all money together and y'all both making $50,000 a year, $55,000 a year, the other $40,000 to $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year that y'all don't need on y'all standard of living, y'all could put that into the stock option and flip that. And within 10 years, y'all can find yourself close to a millionaire, especially if y'all doing a dividend rotation strategy and you're doing it well. If you're doubling your money every year, even after taxes kick you in the dick, if you're doubling your money every year, you're only going to pay 24% off the profits that you make. So if you doubled your money, you still end up with 75% more than what you started with every year. And if you throwing away 40 grand, putting it into the stock, 40 grand, you're not going to be broke for long. You feel me? Y'all can work less. Y'all can quit y'all jobs. Y'all can spend your whole life just moving money around in stock option and then living off of your base standard of living, that's the regular essentials that you need. And then y'all would not be struggling. But that's the kind of relationship that you stay committed to, because if you put 10 years into the resources that is this relationship, you're not trying to walk away from it. You're not trying to tear down a trust that's paying you $10,000 a month. You're not trying to tear that shit down. You're like, fuck it. Did Donald's wife is a $50 million woman. Did she divorce Donald Trump after he paid $135,000 for that one night stand? No. Jada Pinkett got somebody else. Will Smith got somebody else. They didn't even divorce. They live in two separate houses in the same city. Why split up the assets? Not worth it. Fact is, people who, when you're financially invested, y'all not trying to divorce. But the younger generation, not financially invested in their relationship, they walk real fast. As soon as you're not getting what you want out of the situation without contributing into the situation, they walk out of the relationship. And that is the reason why the relationships ain't lasting more than 1 year, 5 months, 6 days. How does the trust protect when it's a nasty divorce and not compromising? Okay, well, a irrevocable trust, you don't control that. That's not yours. A trustee controls that. You're a beneficiary of the trust. Now, as it stands, any cash flow that you get from the trust, as soon as it becomes yours, it's accessible in the divorce. If you have a standard income that you claim, then they can garnish some of your wages if they're going to offer your wife alimony or something to that effect. But in a trust, the assets like the houses, the cars, all of the stuff that belongs to the trust, but you like lease the car from the trust, you don't own the car, you're leasing it. You're renting the house from the trust, you don't own the house, you're renting it. She can't take the house and she can't take the car because it's not yours. Especially if the trust is an offshore trust, it's not something that they can just tear it down and say, oh, well, he set it up so we can take it from him. No, the trust is its own entity. The same way when you set up an LLC or a C corporation, it's its own entity. Somebody cannot sue your business and take your house unless the business owns the house. The business debt is the business debt. Your personal debt is your personal debt. It's not both of yours. It's neither one of yours. Y'all set up the trust. You make it an irrevocable trust. It's like creating a baby. It's its own entity. Once it is irrevocable, it is its own entity. Y'all both benefit from the existence of it. That's why you're beneficiaries. But it's not yours and it's not his. So at the end of the day, it's its own entity. It pays taxes for itself. It is a self-sustainable entity, which means that a court cannot come and split the difference on that trust. But if you're a beneficiary of the trust and the trust is split 50-50, you get half, he gets half, she gets half, he gets half. If somebody throws that trust into the argument and say, yeah, an irrevocable trust is written in stone. That means nobody can change it. Nobody can take nothing out of the trust. Whatever goes into the trust stays into the trust, unless there's a contract in the trust that indicates under certain circumstances that assets go to beneficiaries of the trust once those conditions are met. Outside of that, the trust is unchangeable once it becomes an irrevocable trust, which means that it is a binding contract that cannot be divided by a court. And in a trust where if the husband and the wife are both beneficiaries of the trust and each of them are getting an equal share of the trust, a court is not going to walk in there and say, oh, y'all built that together, but I'm going to give one person, other person, because in a division of assets, the fact is that if you're getting half of it, bitch, what you going to get the other half for? You're supposed to get half. You went into this relationship half. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So the trusts do help. Michael said Warren Buffett has a wife and a girlfriend that his wife chose for him. So his wife chose his girlfriend. That's a good woman. And she lives in California and a woman lives in Ohio. See, we need more women like that. Who holds the truth and pays out the truth? Oh, so who holds the trust and pays out the trust? The trustee. And usually in a irrevocable trust, the beneficiary is not the trustee. In a revocable trust, the beneficiary can be the trustee, the guarantor can be the trustee. But in a irrevocable trust, you got a third party handling the situation, which is why a court can't come and take nothing from you, because you don't own it no more. You gave it to somebody that you trust to manage the estate. You control it. They own it. You can benefit from its existence, but it ain't yours for somebody else to legally take from you. Now, I know all of us grew up in the old school days where we were supposed to be getting our own house and getting our own car and putting everything in our name and this, that, and the third. Then when somebody sue your ass and take your house, your car, take your child's tuition for college, all of the extra stuff that you built for your family's future, they come and took all that shit from you, then you mad as fuck. But if you would have gathered all of that information and put it somewhere where can't nobody fuck with it, especially, I'm going to tell y'all again, if it is offshore, because outside of the feds and criminal activity, they are not tracking offshore accounts. They're not. It's knowledge, and knowledge is fun. Believe me, I have a huge judgment against me. It's awful. I know when judgments happen, it sucks. And if you don't have your money protected before that judgment occurs, you're in a world of shit because you can't backdate nothing. They can retroactively seize a lot of shit if you established it within the timeline of the legal action. You got to have that stuff set up long time ago. But let's think about this though. Do you and your partner have the same fight about money over and over? Let's think about that for women. For those of you that have relationships. Hold on a second. He said, believe me, people love your money. Oh, they sure do. They love taking your money from you. They love taking your money from you. Now, they ain't quick to give it to you, but they quick to spend it. They quick to spend it. But imagine those tense talks about credit card bills, the awkward silence after a purchase, a huge purchase that the other person did not recognize, the constant low-grade anxiety that you're just not on the same page. And this isn't just with women. This is with men too. Y'all got to understand that y'all not alone. He said, you're a value to this world. One love. Special shout out to Free Month. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all tiptoe through here. Hit those reaction buttons as y'all tiptoe through here. According to the recent surveys, American couples report having an average 58 money-related arguments per year. Bro, that is more than one a week. There's 52 weeks in a year, and y'all have 58 arguments about money a year. Michael said, no debt, please. Most breakups are over money. Last time I did the statistics on that, I do believe it was somewhere between 87 and 89% breakup over either extreme debt or money problems. And then 57 or 58% broke up over power struggles. And that none of that had nothing to do with breaking up over infidelity now. This is just like the who's in charge versus where the money go. Crazy, isn't it? Now, while things like chores or lack of quality time can cause day-to-day friction, money remains one of the most significant sources of conflict. In a desperate attempt to keep the peace, many couples land on what feels like a logical solution, keeping their finances separate. Yours is mine. Well, yours, mine, and never the twain shall we meet. It's clean, simple approaches. And y'all are really like roommates in those situations, because what happens is that if it's your money, you work for it, you do what you want to do with the money, and the other person can't tell you nothing about it. Then it's their money, they work for it, they do whatever they want to do with the money, and they're not supposed to tell you anything about it. Like you can't ask them nothing about it. It is a problem because even in this scenario, under a roommate observation, most of y'all not going Dutch. Y'all not 50-50 down the middle, right? Usually the man is inherently paying for the majority of it, and then when he runs out of money, whatever's left, the woman might cover that, but more than 80% of his income is going towards the house, and less than 20% of her income is going towards the house, and there isn't a balance there, but there's still an argument over money. When it's separate, though, someone always feels like the sucker paying more, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Somebody will be the sucker paying more, because you're how do you find balance if one person does make more than the other person? If you both go half, one person has more money than the other person. If one person has to put in more because they make more, where you're putting in a percentage of your income, then one person is still paying more than the other. Unless you're both making the exact same quantity of money and putting in the exact same quantity of money, you're not going to be in a situation where you're going to feel like you are putting in an equivalent share in comparison to the other person. And you have to put up enough for all of the bills to be covered. So how do you find an equal medium there? Michael said, all of it is hers. If you want to get along, yes, honey. Sheesh. And that I'm gonna be honest with you, Michael, that is the toxic stuff that men have fallen on the sword for in order to keep a relationship. Happy wife, happy life. But the only thing happy wife, happy life means is that if she's not happy, she'll make sure you're not happy. But if she's happy, she will stop making you more miserable. But at no point in time does happy wife, happy life mean that if you make her happy, that she will put forth the effort to make you happy. But she will stop making you miserable, though. So at least there's no conflict. I don't think that's a good way to go. Mara says, definitely have to put value on other duties. Well, you're supposed to be able to distribute the duties based on availability, and then you're supposed to contribute based on accessibility and availability. And then if you guys are pooling your money together for group success, you should be able to take the difference, regardless of who's got the difference, and put it away for the benefit of the both of y'all, so that y'all can have a scenario where at some point y'all can do less and then retire early. Joint retirement account, joint home account, individual accounts. That's a good idea. Let's see what we worked out, because if that very solution of everything being separate was a thing, the one you think is protecting your relationship is actually creating more distance. What if this common belief is quietly creating more resentment than it solves problems? It's completely understandable why so many of us default to separate accounts. On the surface, it just makes sense, and the logic is tempting. In fact, in 2024, polls showed that only 43% of couples have fully joint accounts, with 23% keeping things completely separate and 34% using a mix of both. I've told you guys in the past to have a mix of both. Have joint accounts where y'all pool y'all money together for the stuff that's going to cover the bills, and then y'all have separate accounts so that whatever is exclusively for you is exclusively for you. For one, it feels fair, especially when relationships often start later in life. You come into it with your own financial history, assets, debts, and your own hard-earned income. It feels only right to maintain that. You think, I earned this, so I should get to decide how I spend it. It's a declaration of independence. This desire for autonomy is powerful. the idea of having to ask for permission to buy something with the money that you just worked for or justify a purchase to your partner can feel restrictive, even infantilizing. How do you pronounce that? Making you feel like a child. That would be the best way to put it. Separate accounts seem to offer a blissful escape from that dynamic. You have your money for your hobbies and lunches with friends, and they have theirs. No need for a committee meeting to decide on a new pair of shoes. It feels like you're sidestepping arguments by removing the opportunity for them to happen. Michael's like, yep, for those rainy days. Feels like control. Well, okay, so all adults have this control issue. All of them. Not just men, not just women. All adults have a control issue. We were oppressed as children. We were oppressed in college. We were oppressed in our workforce. When we get home, we do not want to submit to our partner, which is one of the reasons why women can go to work and yes, sir, right away, sir, to the person that's paying her minimum wage. And you can't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy when you get home. Because somewhere in your life, all adults want to feel like they're in charge of something. So since you cannot gain control anywhere else in life because you have to submit to the authority that has more control over the outcome of your situation than you do, when they get home, they want to feel like they're the boss. So they dominate the relationship. They dominate the household. It's an ego thing. We talked about this last week. You have to cater to the ego by recognizing she is not flexing on me because she doesn't respect me. She's flexing on me because her ego has a level of insecurity where she does not feel like she's in control and she wants to control something. So she's going to take control of this situation. You can let her, but you can remind her. He said, slap that birth. Slap that birth with life. But you can remind her that while you understand her concerns, the issue that she has to recognize is that in a relationship, we are working as a whole. We're individuals working as one team towards a common goal or a series of common goals. And that means that we have to negotiate every step of the way. And since it's two of us, it's supposed to be a unanimous vote because we can't do a majority rules because no one person is supposed to have a majority vote over anything. Typically in a traditional relationship, a man is supposed to have the final say, but in the egalitarian relationships, the man is not the one with the final say. So in an egalitarian relationship, what you're looking at more to the point of the person that's more financially invested. Because when you come from logic and reason, if I'm not in charge because I'm a man, or I don't have the final say because I'm the head of household because I'm a man, then I have the final say because I'm the person who's paying the most for this operation to be successful. And that does not mean that a woman can't outpay the man and have that role. That is uniformity. If she's going to pay the cost to be the boss, then she dictates terms. In an egalitarian lifestyle, that's going to happen more often than traditionally submitting to the man simply because she selected him to be the decision maker. Mara says, my situation is traditional. I make more, so she has more domestic duties, but I'm lucky that she has some beliefs. Bro, even if she made more, if you have a traditional relationship where she's still going to do the domestic duties, she may give you the money and let you invest it where it needs to go. It doesn't change the fact that the upbringing versus the culture clash is going to dictate how this is going to work itself out. Michael said, playing on the same page always helps. Playing on the same page only works when you're aiming for somebody that has the same ambitions, drives, and goals as you. If the guys continue to chase women for sex and the girls keep chasing men for money, if she's willing to put out and she's willing to put out regularly, that turns into a relationship, and that relationship turns into marriage, especially when a kid is born. If she's chasing him for money, as long as the money is coming, that's going to turn into a relationship, and that relationship would turn into a marriage if he's willing to pay for her standard of living. But his personality and his characteristics might not be what she wants, and her personality and her characteristics might not be what he wants. If you're not paying attention to how this person is going to behave when the money's not there, or how this person is going to behave when the sex is not there, you don't know what you're getting. And then once you get married, then you're going to regret it, because when the money changes and it's not readily available, her attitude is going to change. When the sex isn't readily available, his attitude is going to change. The person that you got with when everything was compatible to the other person ain't the person that you got now, because the shit's not the way it was when y'all first got together. And because y'all don't think about that, y'all don't try to bring back what kept the relationship together. Y'all instead cut off more because you're not getting what you want. So you strong arm a relationship and say, well, I'm going to stop doing X, Y, and Z. Well, bitch, you stop doing a bunch of shit. That's why I switched out and stopped doing shit already. So you're going to do even less and force a drought in a desert. You're trying to force a drought in a desert to make it rain. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to starve this relationship out until we part ways with the extreme levels of resentment. And we don't know why we fell apart, because nobody's communicating, right? Then there's a practical side of the situation. Maybe one of you is a meticulous saver who gets a genuine thrill from watching the balance grow. The other might be more of a free spirit who believes money is a tool for experiences right now, not just putting it aside for later. Like the guy said earlier today, joint retirement. Joint retirement, fantastic idea. Look at how logic and reason the guys come up with joint retirement. Y'all can have separate bank accounts, but y'all put y'all money towards a joint retirement. But the problem with a joint retirement is that bad boy don't flip money fast enough for y'all to retire 10 years after y'all met. But trying to force two different people with different philosophies into one checking account can feel like mixing oil and water. It seems easier to just let the saver save and the spender spend, as long as the shared bills get paid. This is often seen as a way to avoid clashing over different money personalities. The problem that's going to happen is that because more often than not, some women are the spender and the men are the savers. When shit hits the fan, the only person with backed up savings that can cover the extreme cost of whatever just happened is the guy. So the problem comes in at, again, it's going to be a power struggle. If she can spend all of the money that she wants to spend on whatever she wants to spend because it's her money, she worked for it. He's saving and investing and everything to that effect. And now there is a financial problem that is above and beyond the standard of living that we normally pay for. He has to take all of the money that he saved up and take care of this problem, because he's the only one between the two of them that's got it. Not because it's his job, not because he's a man, because he's the only one between the two of them that's got it. So he can't even decide how the resolution of this emergency is going to happen. He has to answer to his girlfriend or his wife, but his life savings is about to fix this problem. Flip the script, ladies. What if the role was the other way? You were the responsible one. You're saving, you're investing. This is your house, your car. All the stuff is yours, right? He's wasting the money, right? And then you're in that situation where the ball drops. Doesn't matter what it is, car crash, a medical bill. Let's say that he needs a surgery that's not covered on his insurance, and now you got to cover that with all the money that you have saved. You got to cover that because you don't want him to die. Now, the separation of funds doesn't make sense, because once the money is gone, it can't be redirected. And that's why I tell people, even if you have a wasteful mentality, if you can just show the patience to invest it first and then take the interest off of the investment and waste that, at least the principal is still there. If an emergency comes up and you got to cash out on your share of the stocks, you can still cover the emergency because the principal is still there. You're living off the interest. But if you spend the principal, you have to go earn the principal back before you can start generating interest off of the investment. And that's not beneficial. Spending the money before the money starts making money for you is not beneficial. And of course, you guys have to understand, there's trust, or rather the issue that can wear down the trust. Perhaps there's a history of financial mistakes on one or both sides of the relationship where somebody bought something stupid or unnecessary. And what happens if that happened with right before a major bill needed to be paid? Or one partner might have a mountain of student loans or other extreme debts, while the other has a pristine credit score. Keeping things separate can feel like a protective measure, a way to insulate yourself from your partner's financial baggage. Sometimes it's a response to a deeper trust issue, sometimes from past traumas. One survey found that among those who don't have a joint account, 9% do so because they don't trust their partner with their money. Separating the finances becomes a sort of demoralizing zone, a way to avoid confronting those suspicions head on. Is that I was taught how to make money, not my money. Making my money, that's my issue now. Bro, my mama raised a slave when she raised me. So I'm gonna tell you real talk, bro. I was yes boss all my life. I used to be able to get out there and lift the heaviest objects as the smallest person in the room, be there longer than the Mexicans be there. The Mexicans be clocking out, going home like, no, senor, you're here too much. No, you take break now, my friend. And I was in there like, nah, I got to get this money, man. I just hit double overtime, bro. I'm not just getting time and a half. I'm getting double time now, bro. You know, I was out there getting it. Then, you know, I think somewhere in my 30s, I started realizing, fuck, I'm getting too old for this shit. Body can't keep up. I'm tired. I'm missing out on life in and of itself because I spent 80% or 90% of my life, my awake time working. And then 5 or 10% of my awake time getting to work or coming from work. So I only had like 5% of my life that I wasn't at work. And you know, it's like, for what? Because I was spending my money on family. So I wasn't actually saving anything. I wasn't actually investing in anything. And I ended up still having nothing. After I stopped taking care of family, I have to start from square one and build up an estate so that I can have a retirement so that I can quit working, which is ridiculous. So when we started this podcast and we started talking about saving and investing money, I was like, we need to save and invest. That way, 10 years of this podcast, I should be a millionaire. But yeah, that's it. We didn't think about making money make money for us. When Trump said he was running for a second term, I was like, shit, I need to start making me some fucking money because I'm gonna be broke as fuck. When he get out of office, I ain't gonna have. If I don't have it, I ain't gonna have it. So I said, this is the term. This is the term for the next 4 to 8 years, because he can run for a third term. I'm going to try to make money the whole time he's here. He's a family construction company failure, but what is overtime, bro? Overtime is when you work for a company that's willing to pay you extra money to stay past 40 hours. But check this out, though. We adopt this system believing it's a modern solution to an old age problem. We tell ourselves it promotes fairness, protects our autonomy, and preventing fights. But this is where the story we tell ourselves and what actually happens can start to diverge. The very structure designed to prevent conflict can become a silent breeding ground for it. And let's just put together a hypothetical couple here. Let's say that Rogan and Jamie, when they moved in together, they made what seemed like a sensible choice. They kept their own accounts and opened one joint account where they'd each deposit their half of the rent and utilities and other stuff in there. Simple, clean, no fights. For the first few months, it seemed to work. The bills were paid and there was no bickering about who spent what on coffee or clothes or whatever. But then a little thing started to happen. Rogan got a big raise. Suddenly, Rogan was going out for expensive dinners and buying new gadgets, while Jamie was carefully meal prepping and turning down invitations. Though living in the same apartment, they were living completely different financial lives. Jamie started to feel a quite resentment building. It wasn't that Rogan did anything wrong, but the disparity was a constant unspoken presence there. A wedge was being driven between them, not by arguments, but by silence. This is the first hidden cost. Separate finances can create a transactional dynamic. And that's not something that we've ever talked about on the show before. Instead of a partnership, you risk becoming financially roommates. While many couples may make this work beautifully, some studies show that separate accounts can encourage tit for tat thinking. You paid for dinner, so I'll get this one. I covered the internet, so you owe me for electricity. This is constant scorekeeping, even if it's just mental. It can erode the sense of we-ness that's so crucial for a healthy relationship. And it keeps you in a state of yours and mine's, the language of division, not unity. And I tell you guys, I come from uniformity on a regular basis. Michael said, where they're sharing the apartment or having a relationship. Well, if you've got a couple, they're supposed to be in a relationship. And if they're living in the same apartment, they're sharing the apartment because it's not common knowledge. They call it common property, commonwealth property or whatever, because you guys live together after 10 years, domestic partnership. I think they call it like domestic property or whatever the case may be, where it's everybody's. It's not a his or a hers, it's everybody's, because it's been here so long and y'all have been together so long using it that it's just everybody's. Like when y'all separate, y'all just gonna have to cut the couch in half with a chainsaw like Medea. Make sure y'all like and subscribe as y'all slide in here now. But this division can help real psychological impacts now. Research shows that couples who keep their finances separate can miss out on a feeling of shared goals and togetherness, which is a key predictor of relationship satisfaction. So think about it. When your money is separate, your goals can easily become separate too. So Rogan was saving for a sports car. Jamie was trying to build an emergency fund for a volatile career. Both are valid goals, but they aren't shared goals. They weren't working together towards bigger visions for their future. This brings us to the second hidden cost. It can foster financial secrecy because there's no built-in transparency. It's incredibly easy for a secret to take root. A striking 2025 survey revealed that 40% of U.S. adults in a live-in relationship have committed some form of financial infidelity, meaning that you're spending money outside of your relationship. This is often called financial infidelity, and it's incredibly damaging. The most common transgression is spending more than their partner would be okay with, but it also includes secret debt and hidden accounts. I told you guys before that in your relationship, you should have something set up like a limit, a discretionary spending limit, and it should be reasonably low, less than the cost of purchasing a new cell phone. Where once you start making purchases above that level, and you can't like finagle the scenario and put it on a payment plan, and because you're only paying so many dollars per month, technically you're not spending. No, the total cost of the item, no matter how long it takes for you to pay for it all, should be below the budget, or you should negotiate it with your partner, even though it's your money. Because the lack of accessibility of capital that you have negatively impacts the total accessibility of income the household has. So in case of an emergency where both of you have to contribute to the emergency, if you have less to contribute, the burden falls on the other person. Michael says, just being human, you are entitled to PTSD. I don't know anybody who says that they don't have a certain level of PTSD from something is a bold-faced liar. We got traumas from our past. The older we are, the more traumas we have. We call them baggage, right? Everybody's got it. It just depends on how heavy yours is, right? And who wants to carry it, right? These issues, though, these levels of financial infidelity, they might start small. Maybe Jamie feels guilty about a big freelance payment and doesn't mention it, right? Or maybe Rogan feels the pressure of being the higher earner and hides his credit card statements. And you would say, well, how do you hide your credit card statements? Do electronic billing, paperless, where they're sending bills to an email account that your partner doesn't know anything about. Not because like you created it in secret, but because you've never mentioned no person has ever, that I know of, released every single email that they've created in their lives to their partner. If they need their partner to get into the email for them, they will tell their partner about the email and give their partner the password. People don't email each other in relationships anymore. They send text messages back and forth. So your personal email that powers your phone, like your partner does not care what your email is and never asks for it. So if you've got more than one email, for those of you that are gamers and you have your gamer email that receives spam mail, and then you have your business email, and then you may have a personal email on the side, that's at least 3 emails. And if you use a different email to collect your bills for online billing, just for the convenience of looking at your bills on the phone instead of going to the mailbox and getting your bills, the fact is that if you've got bills being emailed to you, your partner never sees the bills. So now they don't know that your credit card statements are not good. These small secrets can build a foundation of mistrust. You start to wonder, what else didn't I know? That nagging question can be more destructive than any single argument. The separate account system, designed to prevent fights, can actually make this kind of deception easier. And the third thing that you have to look at, is perhaps most significant, is a hidden cost that is preventing you from truly leveraging the financial power of being a couple. He's got question marks up here. How many email accounts do you have and how many are full? Okay, the average individual should have a personal email account, a business email account. If you play video games, you should have your gamer account. If you go shopping, you should have an email for online shopping, because if you got another email for subscriptions, that's at least 5. And you don't want to have spam mail going to your business account or your personal account. So if you're going to put up an email, when you go onto a website and you're looking at stuff to go shopping for, and they say, oh, we'll give you 12% off if you add your email to the list, subscribe to the platform or whatever. You put that email in there, and now they're mailing you for NYK or Forever 21 or whatever the case may be. They're emailing you stuff on a regular basis. You got to email just for memberships. Your gym membership will spam mail you. They'll send you your bill, but they'll spam mail you on a regular basis. Oh, upgrade. If you look at your Gmail right now, most of y'all can picture in picture. If you got an iPhone or a Samsung, y'all can picture in picture, pull up your email right now. And you can see that there are a series of 9s on the top corner of your inbox. You ain't been checking that bitch. Okay. Some of y'all might have 32,000, 68,000, 84,000, but you've had at least 900 and something emails that has come into your email since the last time you looked at your email. Do you know, and I've tried this before, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to bulk delete the 10 or 15 gigs of emails that are in your email box that you never look at. And anything over that 10 to 15 gigs, Google's trying to charge you $20 a month so that you can go to a terabyte of data space for emails that you didn't know was there, that you don't go back and look at. Strange, isn't it? So you're asking me how many emails do I have? I got plenty because I've got multiple businesses. So I have multiple emails for multiple business accounts. I have multiple emails for personal stuff. I have multiple emails for other individuals that I do things for. I have emails that are just emails for phone numbers. There's that, because Google Voice gives you a phone number for each email. That's a lot. That's a lot. So all it takes is for one of those emails to redirect all of your non-essential bills to your partner. Don't know where anything is going. Most emails are full, just like voice boxes. I have my info set directly to my text. Well, see, that's the thing. If you've got voice to text, your voicemail box is never full. And the reason why it's never full is because it gets transferred to a text message and sent to your phone. You can go into your voicemail box and delete like 30 messages or not. It's never full. By the time you are going to accidentally hit that voicemail box number and then just go through and start deleting messages because, I mean, it is what it is. And because you've got that voice to text, you don't have to go and check the voicemail. But just like I said, because you've got that electronic billing and, automatic bill pay, you don't have to go look for the bill in the mailbox, which means your partner doesn't know how much the bills are or how much they cost. Or that's the same thing. They don't know how much the bills are costing and how much you're paying towards them, because nothing happens in out of sight, out of mind. So from a purely financial standpoint, a partnership can be a tremendous asset. And I've been telling y'all this for a while. When you combine incomes, you can often build savings faster. You can qualify for a better loan rate as well and tackle debt more aggressively. But when you keep everything separate, you can negate that advantage. So you're essentially two separate players when you could be a powerhouse team. And for Rogan and Jamie, this meant they were both struggling individually in a committed relationship. And Jamie wasn't stressed about savings, and Rogan felt the burden of their financial lifestyle. And he felt like this lifestyle resting more heavily on his shoulders. They never had a conversation about how Rogan's higher income could accelerate their shared goals, like paying off Jamie's student loans or saving for a house together. And the yours and mine framework trapped them. So ultimately, the separate finance model is often built on a faulty premise that the absence of arguments equals a healthy relationship. But the most dangerous problems aren't always loud arguments. They're the quiet, unspoken resentments. A multi-year study tracking newlyweds assigned some to merge and some to separate their finances. After 2 years, the researchers found a clear link. The couples who merged their money were significantly happier and more likely to still be together, shielded from the normal decline in relationship satisfaction seen in other groups. While this doesn't prove cause and effect for everyone, it does suggest that the act of merging forces communication and creates transparency and builds a sense of shared identity. It's not about giving up independence, it's about choosing interdependence, which is believing in and depending on your partner when necessary. So we've established that the separate account strategy, while popular, can have hidden downsides. And we've seen that merging finances is a path many happy couples take, but thought of actually doing it can be terrifying for some, I'm guessing. How do you combine two financial lives with all their history and habits without imploding? It's not about just dumping everything into one account and hoping for the best. It's about being intentional and communication. Okay. I tell you this all the time with relationships, intentional actions and communication. It's a process. So let's walk through the 5 critical steps to merge your finances successfully. And this is going to be pretty quick. Before a single dollar moves, you need to have the most open, honest conversation about your money you've ever had. This isn't a quick chat over dinner. This is a scheduled sit-down meeting. Call it Money Summit. Get that money, bitches. All right. The goal is to finally disclose all of your financial concerns. You each need to come to the table with everything. And I mean everything. Your income, your debt, every student loan, credit card balance, car payment, probation, child support, DUI class, traffic tickets, unpaid parking tickets, mortgage, all of it. All right. All of it. With the average student loan debt per borrower topping $38,000 and the average credit card balance for those who carry one sitting at over $7,000, these numbers can be scary, but they must be shared. Your assets like savings and retirement accounts, your credit scores. This is a judgment-free zone. Y'all ask for transparency, ladies. This is a judgment-free zone. So y'all got to find a way to get in there and make the situation work. This point isn't to shame or blame anyone. It's to get a complete picture of your collective financial reality. And you should be doing this before y'all get married so that you know what the hell y'all getting into, which also, if y'all smart, y'all should be discussing this before y'all start talking about the engagement ring and the honeymoon and all of the cost for the reception and everything to that effect. Because why would you, ladies, be real, like and subscribe, ladies, why would you walk yourself into a marriage with somebody that's broke as fuck? It's not a smart move, right? So you supposed to be able to understand your finances before you say I do. Right? You should be able to have this conversation before y'all move in together. Do I really want to live in this person's house? Yeah. He said, detente it's a detente meeting. Get out the chalkboard and write it down. You know what? I am going to call this a bullshit spin, but I'm also going to tell you it's essential. Michael said chalkboard. Go get you one of those clear whiteboards like NCIS and some fucking Sharpies. and do that shit like Bill Nye the Science Guy, like write down what's going on, and then y'all can spin the board around and write down some more shit, but y'all can still see each other while you're writing on the board and shit. So waste of money, but it's practical. You'll find yourself using it plenty if you're going to be having these discussions. Then what you do, you take the green screen and put over it when company comes over. The black drapes, you want to cover it so nobody sees the finances. If you have a secret shopping habit, now is the time to talk about it. If you have a debt you've been ashamed to mention, it comes out now. So if you're paying for a DD22 or a DD24, SR22, and you got to pay high ass premiums for that shit, might as well get that shit out right now. Secrets are a cancer in a financial partnership. So acknowledging that you both might have made mistakes is crucial for moving forward. Y'all just got to understand, you cannot define somebody for their past. You define them for their present and their intent for the future. However, while you are not to be defined by your past, making repetitive mistakes in the present that are related to the same mistakes you made in the past will continue to define you as the same person you was in your past, because you have not shown improvement in your present. Now, during this summit where you guys are talking about your money, also talk about your financial past. What did your parents teach you about money, if anything? What did you learn about money because your parents didn't teach you shit? Oh, hold on. If you got a casino habit, if you gamble too much, if you look, now this is hard to do, dating somebody who gambles, because they will waste your fucking money and blame it on you. Real talk now. If you know somebody that gambles a lot, you better watch that. I'm going to tell you firsthand, that does not end well. They will guilt trip you into giving them money, bro. Like, you got to be careful with gamblers. But you got to ask yourselves, the information that you got from them, was it a source of your stress? Understanding your parents' money stories will provide crucial context for their behaviors and fears. And this conversation isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding the human behind the decision. Now, merging finances is not a one-size-fits-all scenario. After your honesty submit, you can decide which structure best fits you. There are 3, and these primary models are all required to be considered. So you might actually have to get on your, like the clear whiteboard, like I'm talking to you guys about, and write on there like model 1, model 2, model 3, and which one benefits the circumstance. And then write down in your list all of the stuff that fits in each one of these models. And then when y'all determine which model you're going for, y'all stick to it. But let me give you guys model A. Model A is the all-in approach. This is the full merge. All income goes into one joint account. All bills, expenses, and savings come from this central point. This system promotes maximum transparency and a powerful sense of we-ness. To maintain autonomy, you agree on a certain amount of no questions asked personal spending money for each of you every month, which can go into your personal accounts. This isn't an allowance, it's a budgeted freedom. Now, that no questions asked discretionary funds is the maximum quantity of money you can spend that month on everything outside of the budget for the relationship. Model B, the hybrid approach. This is a very popular method for a reason. Used by about 34% of couples, you have 3 accounts, a joint account for shared expenses and 2 separate individual accounts. You calculate your total shared monthly expenses, rent, utility, groceries, etc. Then you decide how to fund that joint account. Maybe you each contribute an equal amount, or you each contribute the same percentage of your income. Whatever is left over is your personal paychecks. This is going to stay in your personal accounts for you to spend or save as you see fit. Model C, the proportional hybrid approach. This is a variation of the hybrid model designed for couples with a significant income disparity. Instead of contributing an equal amount in dollars to the joint account, you each contribute an equal percentage, as I just mentioned, of your income. For example, maybe 60% of each person's take-home pay goes into the joint account. If Rogan makes $6,000, and that means that he'll be contributing like $3,600. If Jamie makes $4,000, she'll be contributing $2,400. This method feels more equatable because both partners are making the same proportional sacrifice. Probably this method would be the most effective for the modern egalitarian society. Instead of going Dutch, put up your percentage. And it's the same percentage. So the larger income is going to be contributing more, but the same percentage of sacrifice from the larger income is the same percentage of sacrifice from the smaller income. So if you're giving up 60% of your income and I'm giving up 60% of my income, we're still both giving up the same amount. And I've told you guys before, if you give up 50 or 60% of your income, and then you take the other 40% of your income and you invest it, you're likely to make it big over time. But if you're doing this where you're putting up 60% of your income, both of you are putting up 60% of your income, you take the difference and invest it in a joint account or a trust, and then you take the rest of the money and you invest that into other trusts where you are, or other stock options or whatever, personal investments, then you have relationship profits and individual profits. Either way, the key is to choose a system together. There's no single right answer, and only what works for the two of you is what you guys need to determine. The word budget can make people cringe, and let's reframe it. You're not creating a budget. You're creating a spending plan. This isn't about restrictions. It's about aligning your daily spending with your biggest life goals. A proper framework, and I've told you this plenty of times, is the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% of your take-home pay is for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings and debt repayment. And me, I would put 50% on needs and 50% on savings, or 40% on savings and 10% on debt. Because I don't want for nothing. If I spent 1 to 2% of my income on the things that I want, I don't want for nothing. Because if I wanted something big like that Resvani tank, $250,000 MSRP, $500,000 for the total package, I'm getting that from savings. So why would I have a separate savings goal? It just doesn't make sense. If I can't afford to get that son bitch, I ain't getting it. Start by talking about your dreams. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 20 years, so forth? Do you want to buy a house, travel the world, buy a house and travel the world, retire early? Get big and excited about it. These shared goals are the whys behind your financial plan. Once you have your shared goals, work backwards. Look at the combined income and fixed expenses. Then intentionally allocate the rest of your money to the categories that matter to you. This includes not just bills, but savings for your big goals, investments, and that all-important fun money for each of you. A good spending plan doesn't just account for bills. It mandates savings and spending on things that just bring joy. Now, it's time to take action. This is where you physically set up the accounts from step 2. Go to the bank together. You're going to open up a new joint account. This simple act is symbolic of your financial union. Probably should have done this before you got married, because it's equivalent to going down to the justice of the peace and getting hitched. It just takes a little bit longer to get that financial paperwork together. Decide on a credit card strategy. I told you guys about taking turns applying for credit cards. Once your partner gets approved, they add you on as an authorized user. Once you get approved, you add them on as an authorized user, and y'all keep doing this back and forth. If y'all apply every other month or once a quarter, because these applications stack up, if y'all apply once per quarter for a credit card and get approved of it, and your partner does it once per quarter on a credit card, you're actually applying for 2 credit cards or 4 credit cards per year, 2 credit cards per half a year, and you're still ending up with 8 credit cards per year off of almost 8 applications. But you're doing 4, your partner's doing 4, and that's less hits on your credit score, but a larger quantity of available credit. And if you're not using those credit cards, you have no credit utilization. So you got to ask yourself, will you have a joint card for shared expenses? I would. I would have my own individual credit cards, and then I would also have a joint account with my partner. Ideally, you're going to have joint accounts anyway, because you're boosting each other's credit, which will aid you guys if you finance a car together. It'll aid you guys if you finance a house together. It'll aid you guys if you start up a business together, start up a family business together, LLC. You can get really good business credit out the gate if you're doing personal guarantor credit, where they will open you up a unsecured line of credit that makes the owner of the business the primary recipient of the bill, the responsibility for the bill. They call that a personal guarantor. Also, you want to update the beneficiaries on all of your accounts, your retirement funds, life insurance policies, to make sure that if something happens to you, that your spouse will recoup whatever capital that's there, which is pretty good deal to throw out there, which allows for the understanding of unity there. But this step is also a critical step many couples overlook, because your ex might be on there, because you got the policy when you was dating somebody else. Y'all broke up. You never went back and checked the policy. Your ex is a beneficiary. Your ex might still be your emergency contact. Y'all need to update all that shit. Finally, set up automated transfers. If you choose a hybrid model, automate the contribution from your personal account to your joint account on payday. The more you automate, the less friction there will be in your day-to-day financial lives. Because if you're supposed to put up a certain quantity of money and you forget, then certain bills don't get paid, and your partner might cover it, and then they start fussing at you because they had to put money on this specific financial obligation than what they had thought. Now, the next step that I'm telling you about, this might be the most important step. A spending plan isn't a set it and forget it document. It's a living plan that needs to be reviewed regularly. The best way to do this is to schedule a regular money date. And a money date isn't about spending the money, ladies. It's about making sure that all the money is going where it's supposed to go. And this could be weekly. It could be monthly. It shouldn't be less than monthly. It shouldn't be more than monthly. Y'all should come back periodically. So whether y'all do it every paycheck, every other paycheck, y'all should do this on a regular basis. Put it on a calendar. Make it fun. Order takeout. Open some wine and make it a positive ritual. This isn't a time for pointing fingers. It's a time to celebrate the wins. We hit our savings goal. Discuss upcoming expenses. Your cousin's wedding is next month. Stuff like that. And then make adjustments for it. These regular check-ins maintain open communication and keep small issues from becoming big crises. Like you got your car impounded from that drag meet in California when they were crushing people's cars. Now you got to go buy your new Hellcat. Kind of got to talk about that. Okay. Now, This is a lot. And these conversations can be intimidating. So I want to hear from you guys. What is the single biggest fear or hesitation you have when you think about merging finances with your partner? Drop that information in the comments below. Read through it. Each other's experience is a powerful reminder that you are not alone. And while you're down there, make sure that you guys subscribe for all of the content that we have on building stronger relationships and a richer life together. Because we're going to be giving you some more information. Tomorrow, Sunday, we're going to be doing the questions and comments from the fans. But next week, Thursday, we're going to be giving you some more information about your relationships. Even with a clear plan, merging finances can stir up a lot of fear. Okay. These fears are normal and valid. The only way to move forward with the confidence is to drag them into the light and address them head on. So let's tackle the most common ones. Fear number one, I lose my financial independence. I don't want to ask for permission to live my life. This is probably the most common fear. Hold on, y'all. The more you make when you're young means you can retire earlier if you invest it, because the more you make while you're young, the more people spend while they're young. And if we make that change, we will see a better result, which the more money you have on hand, the older you get, the safer you feel financially. Yeah, loss of control. That's what a lot of people feel with joint accounts. Loss of control is what a lot of people feel when they're giving their money to their partner. And then they have to ask for money back. The thought of justifying every purchase is suffocating, but let's look at it another way. A well-designed shared system should actually increase your feeling of freedom. The solution is in your US budget. A key part of that plan is a dedicated category for personal, no questions asked spending. This is going to be money for each partner to buy whatever they want without having to be judged by their partner for buying it. This is not an allowance. It is a pre-agreed upon line item that you both decide on. So let's say you both agree on $400 a month for personal spending. That's money is yours to do as you please. Spend it, save it, it doesn't matter. Your partner has no say in how you spend it, and you have no say in theirs. You've replaced the potential for guilt with a system of planning autonomy. Fear number two, my partner is a spender and I'm a saver. They'll drain our accounts. This is a classic conflict. The saver sees the spender as reckless. The spender sees the saver as cheap. The solution is twofold. First, go back to the why. During your money summit, you talk about your big, exciting shared goals, the house, debt-free life. When those spenders truly buys into those goals, their perspective can shift. And the goal isn't just to save money, it's to save money for a trip to Italy. That is a much more powerful motivator to put the money aside. Michael says, rainy day money. Damn right. Damn right. You've got to have money for when you can't go to work, when you get sick, when something takes you away, you have to call out of work because of a family emergency. And we call it a family emergency, but anytime that you are needed to aid your family with a conflict, it doesn't have to be an emergency. It could just be an inconvenience that will distract you from your job, which means you need to take a personal day to go get rid of that distraction. Okay. And when you don't have PTO time, you leave from work, they're gonna like, yeah, sure, go ahead, take a day off. You are about to go into overtime, so you can go home early. I don't feel like having to pay you. But that means that your money's going to come up short because you live off of the overtime. The structure of your spending plan is your safeguard. Savings and investments should be treated as fixed, non-negotiable bills. Using a plan like the 50-30-20 rule that 20% for savings and debt gets allocated first. So this flips the script. Instead of saving what's left after spending, you are spending what's left after savings. You're not trying to change each other's personalities. You're creating a system where you can both get what you need. Now, the third fear, I earn significantly more or less than my partner. Merging will feel unfair. Income disparity is a massive source of tension. A higher earner might feel resentful. The lower earner might feel guilty or dependent. You are dependent, but you're not guilty. This is where the proportional hybrid model can be a game changer. By contributing an equal percentage of your income, the joint pot, you neutralize the emotional baggage of the dollar amount. So you are both making an equal proportional sacrifice. It's also essential to the established rule. Once money hits the joint account, it's ours. So the higher earner doesn't get more votes. Decisions are about the hour in this model. I prefer the primary shareholder gets more votes, but the money is made as a team and the team contributed equal proportions. So this dismantling of the power structure and the replacement will of the uniformity that you're doing here, that replacement with a framework of equality, equity, and partnership, that should bring you a little bit more satisfaction into your account. Yes, I am. Are you a Black Indian? Rare as fuck. Yes. What tipped you off? Was it the chair? Was it the really awesome tan, or was it the really strange hairline? Because ironically, I do not have a receding hairline, but Navajo, not enough to get a casino, not enough to get Native American benefits, but enough to have this really high hairline, like a Vulcan. I couldn't think. It's not like a Romulan. Definitely not like a Klingon, because I don't have a receding hairline that starts way back here. And at 70 years old, my father has the same hairline right here. So it's not like I'm going to lose any of my hair over the next 40 years. Strange. Good question. Special shout out to Scottie Pippen. Number 4, my partner has a huge amount of debt, and I don't want to be responsible for that. Don't marry him. Bring debt into a relationship is a heavy burden, especially when total household debt in the US is over $18 trillion. Oh, he said he was with Lisa Turner from Saved by the Bell a few years back. Are you talking about like a few years back when she was in her late 40s, or a few years back when she was in her early 20s? Special shout out to Vinny. Remember to like and subscribe. Life is better riding the top of the wave than to live in the troughs. Good night. Hey, you know me, man. We're almost done. We probably got, look at how many pages we got left. Yeah, we probably got like another 15, 20 minutes. So I appreciate you hanging in, Michael. And I'll definitely catch you tomorrow, Sunday. So we're going to be doing some questions and comments from the fans. Should be about an hour and a half long show. But I appreciate you stopping by, brother. Legally speaking, the debt you bring into a marriage often remains your own. But from a relationship standpoint, that debt impacts your shared life. It affects your ability to get a mortgage and reduce your monthly cash flow as a team, especially with that average federal student loan debt at nearly $39,000. I got $70,000. A lot of student debt. The solution is to view the debt not as his debt or her debt, but as our problem. And that sounds like Blackstreet back in the day when they were like, oh, let's bring your problems and my problems together and we can conquer them. Like, that's not exactly how the verse went, but that's somewhat of how the verse went. But that triggered a thought of like Blackstreet when they was, don't leave, you got your problems and I got mine. Let's defeat them all by putting them together. That was the exact verse from Blackstreet. R&B singers is giving y'all financial advice back in the day. Think about it now. It's an obstacle the team needs to overcome. In your spending plan, create an aggressive shared debt payoff strategy. Use your combined financial force to attack that debt with intensity. Think of it this way. If your partner has a serious illness, you won't say that's your problem if y'all gonna stay together, because you might be like, I told you not to go out in the rain. That's your problem now. Get your own orange juice, Campbell's soup. I don't know. Usually, your partner gets sick, you rally around them. You risk getting sick trying to nurse your partner back to health. Financial health is no different. By combining forces, you can pay off that debt years faster than your partner could alone. It's an act of profound commitment that builds incredible trust. It's a short-term shared sacrifice for a long-term shared gain. So let's circle back to Roman and Jamie. After months of quiet resentment, they finally had that blow-up fight they had tried so hard to avoid. But this time, they decided to try something new. They held their own radical honesty money summit. It was awkward. Jamie confessed their fears of not contributing enough. Rogan admitted to feeling the pressure of being the provider. They laid all the numbers out on the table, including Jamie's $30,000 student loans, and figured right below the national average. And for the first time, they weren't looking at Rogan's income and Jamie's income. They were looking at our income. They chose the proportional hybrid model, agreeing that 60% of each of their income would go into a new joint account. They built their first US budget with an aggressive plan for paying off Jamie's student loans and a new shared goal, which is a down payment for a house. The change wasn't intense. It was not instant, but it was overall a profound one. Their monthly money dates back before their favorite ritual. And now the shared budget summits are the new ritual. And now they can celebrate paying off a credit card, which is the language they use that began to change everything. My savings and your debt were replaced with our goals and our progress. A shift that studies have linked to higher relationship quality. So they're no longer just roommates splitting the bills. They were a team. The income disparity, once a source of tension, became their secret weapon. Rogan's higher income, now in service of their shared goals, accelerated their progress in a way that felt like a victory for both of them. This is the ultimate payoff. Merging your finances, when done with intention, does more than just organize your money. It can fundamentally change your relationship dynamics. It fosters a shared identity and purpose that a transactional system may not sustain. And this isn't just a feeling. Research shows that it can have a real protective effect on the relationship, not just the individuals. So you build trust through radical transparency. You cultivate intimacy by sharing your deepest fears and wildest dreams. You become more than a couple. You become single, unified economic forces. We started by asking a question: what if the way you've been trying to avoid money fights is actually making things worse? The common wisdom tells us that keeping things separate, a strategy used by 57% of couples to some degree, is the path to peace. But a growing body of research and countless stories like Rogan and Jamie's tells us that true financial peace often comes from tearing down the walls, not building them. It comes from the vulnerability of a money summit. It comes from the teamwork of designing a system that works for you, for the both of you. It comes from the shared purpose of a spending plan that funds your dreams as well as your partners. And it comes from a consistent, loving communication of a money date that is going to solve the financial problems going forward. Now, this process is not about losing yourself. It's about discovering a new, more powerful version of yourself as a team. And it's about shifting from a mindset of conflict to one of sharing, learning, developing your skills, and collaborations. The path to a stronger, less stressful relationship isn't paved with separate bank accounts. It's paved with open communication, shared goals, and courage to say what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. And together we are building a life that is truly ours. So if today's show sparks something in you, don't let the momentum die. Your call to action today is simple. Schedule a conversation with your partner. Just put 30 minutes to an hour on the calendar sometime this week to start the discussion. Then share this video with someone that you think needs to hear it, and make sure that you guys who haven't done so already like and subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. That way you guys will have the opportunity to keep coming back and building a richer life together. That is all I got for you guys for tonight. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate y'all coming to the show. 75% of the podcast is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. But ladies, all the information that I provide to y'all can benefit from as well. Take it, learn it, do your research on it, double back and take a look. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And tomorrow night is Sunday night's members only show, which is open to the public, where we're going to be doing questions and comments from the fans. All questions from all different genres of topics, as long as they're appropriately formatted, we'll dig deep into them. So thank you again for coming to the show, and y'all have a good night.
Chase validation, now I validate my That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.